Good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to welcome you all here to the September 14, 2016 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. As always, we're happy to have your participation, whether you're here in the room with us tonight, watching us on our YouTube channel live, or watching us on cable channel 12. However you're watching us, you will have the opportunity to participate in this meeting. I would note that the packet with the agenda and all the supporting materials and resolutions is on the back table for people who are here in the room, and it's available on the town website at www.townofbrighton.org if you're watching separately. We'll talk about the open forum in just a moment, but in a minute, right now, actually, let's start with a pledge to the flag. I'll ask Council Member Chris Warner to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everybody. We do have one proclamation tonight. The United States Conference of Mayors has asked community leaders to recognize the opening coming up next week of the Smithsonian's newest museum, the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I know I'm looking forward to this museum, but communities throughout the country are issuing proclamations in honor of the opening of this new museum, and the members of the town board of the town of Brighton and myself have all signed this proclamation honoring the dedication of the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, which I will read and which we will post here in Town Hall. Whereas the history of African American men and women brought against their will from Africa to this country spans centuries. From our Black Civil War veterans who helped reunite the nation and end slavery, to the architects of the passage of the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery, to the icons, institutions, and foot soldiers who launched powerful campaigns in the 60s, 80s, 90s, and today, representing a collective legacy of hope, courage, and triumph, honoring centuries and generations of people of African descent. Whereas on December 16, 2013, President George W. Bush signed legislation to build a national museum devoted to the documentation of African American life, art, history, and culture, encompassing on a national level the period of slavery, the era of Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement, and other periods associated with African American life, art, history, and culture. And whereas this museum's dedication involves partners across the country who will be taking the opportunity to honor, commemorate, remember, and participate in celebrating the opening of this museum on Dedication Day, September 24, 2016, and throughout the year. And whereas the National Museum of African American History and Culture is a place for collaboration as well as serving as a beacon to draw millions from cities, towns, and counties throughout America to Washington, D.C., and then take their experiences back home with them for deeper contemplation and examination within their local communities. This is a place to better understand and transform America's history in a local and national context. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our Town Council do hereby honor and recognize September 24, 2016 as National Museum of African American History and Culture Day in Brighton, and encourage all of our citizens to celebrate the dedication of this museum for all of our Americans throughout our community and throughout our nation. Signed this 14th day of September 2016, as I noted, by myself and by the remaining members of our town board. And I want to thank you each for signing this proclamation, and I think it is a great day and will surely be a great museum, and in addition to the Smithsonian's collection on the mall in DC. Okay, we will now begin our open forum. During the open forum period, members of the audience may address the board on any matter, whether or not it is a matter on the agenda for this evening. I will recognize members of the audience wishing to speak. When recognized, please come to the podium. If you would, please state your name and address. Please direct your comments to the board and not to other members of the audience. Please be courteous and try to keep your comments as concise as possible. I would also note that if you are not here in the room, you're watching from home or somewhere else streaming on YouTube or on cable channel 12, and you'd like to call in during the open forum, please call 303-3060, 303-3060. Someone will take your call and your question or comments and relay it up here to me. Also, if you are deaf or hearing impaired, you may call our TDD line at 784-5205. Again, our TDD line for participation in the open forum, 784-5205. We welcome everybody's participation tonight. Is there anyone here that would like to participate in the open forum with a question or a comment this evening? I know when there's nobody that has a comment tonight, if there's anybody from home, we are going to start in with the rest of the agenda, but if we do get a call in the next couple minutes from someone that would like to call in from home for the open forum, we'll take that call and address your comment as soon as we can. I do also want to note, by the way, before we go any farther, that should we experience any technical difficulties during this broadcast, if the video or the audio goes out, during the live broadcast, if you're watching at home on cable channel 12, please call Time Warner at 756-5000. That's 756-5000. Also note, as always, in case of an emergency, you will hear the town hall emergency alarm system, and believe me, you will hear it. Please exit the auditorium immediately if you do hear the emergency alarm, either by the door to my right, marked with the exit sign. If you go out that door, turn right, go down the stairs, and immediately out the rear door of Town Hall and move away from the building. Or you can leave through either of the two exit marked doors in the rear of this room, go through our lobby, out the main front doors of Town Hall, down the steps, and away from the building. Okay, and we've heard nothing, no callers during the open forum. Okay, then we will move on with our agenda. And can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. And a motion to approve and file our town board meeting minutes for our meetings held on October 10th and August 10th and August 24th, 2016. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second?
Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. The first matter of business tonight is a bid. Actually, it's authorization to solicit bids, specifically an authorization to solicit for proposals for the purchase of a replacement ambulance by the Brighton Ambulance Services District. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
We do have Dennis Mites, who is here from Brighton Volunteer Ambulance. If anybody has any questions, I would note that this is a replacement vehicle, and this matter was discussed in Finance Committee at some length. The last two purchases of ambulance vehicles by Brighton Volunteer, well, by the Ambulance Services District, were so-called Sprinter vehicles. And based on some reviews, some extensive reviews by Brighton Volunteer Ambulance's RIG committee, a recommendation was made that based on limitations on storage, as additional materials are needed to be stored in the ambulance, as well as some other general space issues in the Sprinter model that has been available. They've recommended a so-called mini mod, which will have more storage availability, a little bit less gas mileage, but much better gas mileage than the older large vehicle that it will be replacing. So that is the substance of the proposal, and this will simply authorize BVA to solicit those.
And Bill, in the past, we've gone with the Chrysler Mercedes Sprinter style. I know that there's a lot, I see a lot more of the Fords out on the road now, of the same style. Are we going to be looking at those as well?
They will not be, because that is the so-called Sprinter model, and this is
And
a
that is
different
the
model.
Mercedes Chrysler.
So it will not be the Mercedes Chrysler design. It would not be the Ford Transit vehicle. I think that there were concerns.
Space is the issue.
Space is the issue, and
So the Sprinter style is, I thought we had, you'll have to correct me then.
Sure.
We don't have Sprinter
so
style.
we do have Sprinter. The last, those Chrysler Mercedes.
The mini mod is the
is
variation.
is a different
I see.
vehicle. Yeah.
And who makes the frame and cab then?
Why don't I have Dennis come up to the podium, and I was on a roll there for a minute, but
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get back to our board meeting. Okay. How are you? Good evening, everybody. Okay, so Chris's question is, what chassis is it built on?
Yeah, who's the
Okay,
manufacturer?
yeah, so both Ford and Chevy build this mini mod chassis. It's a 144 inch wheelbase vehicle compared to the 176, which is the big one that we would be replacing. Okay.
The Sprinter is
The Sprinter is about 130, 132.
about 10 inches more. So.
Yeah. Well, and it's wider too. The box is wider on what we're proposing. So that's part of the problem with the Sprinter, is that the depth of the cabinets is so shallow because the vehicle is more narrow that we have stuff really jammed. So, yep. But the Ford Transit, as Bill said, is correct. It's the same size basically as the Sprinter, and actually a little bit smaller. So that would not be an option.
the goal, you were looking for 100,000 square inches of
Cubic inches, yeah.
I'm sorry, right?
Yeah,
Cubic inches
yeah,
of space.
correct.
And the existing Sprinter model has
86.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and we're all over it. So the good news is, economically speaking, this should price pretty close to the Sprinter. So we're not
That was my next
accepting.
question.
Yeah, and
Sprinters were
again,
about at 100, I think. 90
yeah,
some.
yeah, plus or minus 100. With all of the striping and all the rest. So at the finance committee, we basically said, look, we spent 2 years with trying to get the replacement schedule for these vehicles squared away, and with everybody's support from the board and Suzanne and everybody, we got that resolved. So the last thing we want to do is, throw something in the apple cart here that was going to disturb that as it relates to pricing. So we carefully designed a vehicle that is pretty much a stock vehicle. And that's kind of the way the industry's starting to go. Before, you could design specific cabinets and all kinds of other little bells and whistles and creature comforts that were specific to like our agency versus someone else ordering one. And the industry, in trying to get the pricing kept under control, is really trying to build more stock vehicles. So there's very few options, which lets them build them on an assembly line setup and not so custom, which gets the price more reasonable. So, But we're pretty confident, and we also let Suzanne know that the way the spec was constructed, that we did call out some of the smaller add-on items and the striping package, which is a significant number, as bid alternates, so that we can see that pricing. And if there is an issue where it does come a little over budget, then BVA will pick up the difference for one of those alternates or all of them, so that we can keep the price structure where it belongs.
Let's see, this was reviewed at Finance.
Yes.
Last meeting, which I'm not a member of, but could have attended, except I was in the Adirondacks. But sorry.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Good.
Sound good?
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay, great.
Any other questions from the board? Any other comments? Do we have a motion and a second? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye, and again, I would note, this is only an action to authorize the solicitation of the bid. Once bids come back, your agency will review them, and nothing will be final until the board formally takes
Right.
action.
We'll do a recommendation, and then we'll deal with it.
Great, thanks, Dennis, and I want to thank you and of course, everybody, paid staff and volunteers with
Great.
BVA for the work you do. And we just commemorated 15 years after those horrible events of 9/11, and with community activities both here in Brighton and elsewhere. And we can never forget that police, fire, and emergency medical personnel came to that scene in bravery and paid the ultimate sacrifice for that. And obviously we remember that, but we also remember the day-to-day service that you and the folks in BVA provide to us all, and we're grateful.
Thank you very much. I will relay that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Suzanne will speak to you probably tomorrow about the few loose ends we might have, and so you've got everything you need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have communications. Can I have a motion to receive and file the communications this evening?
So moved.
Second.
We have just two items, but they're, I think, both significant. One is a certificate of appreciation from the United Way for the participation of town employees during the 2016 United Way campaign. And that's nice, and thank you to everybody that did participate. The other is something that the Brighton Police Department has rightly been very proud of for many years, and it is a certificate of accreditation, and I will let Chief Mark Henderson talk about our accreditation and this latest recognition.
Accreditation started in the town of Brighton in 1991 under Chief Shaw, then Chief Shaw, and had continued with Chief Vogel. This past June, we were re-inspected. We get audited every 5 years, and we have to show compliance with a number of standards, and we had done that, and at a ceremony last Thursday, we were presented with our certificate. So it's the culmination of some policies and procedures and good work by our staff. So I know we got a certificate for your office to display as well. So.
Yep. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you to everybody on your staff that participated in putting the application and demonstrating your continued high level of competence and high level of professionalism that earns you the accreditation. It's something that I think our residents can look at and know that we have a highly qualified, not just in our own opinion, but in the opinion of outside accrediting agencies, that this is a professional police department of the highest quality.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file those communications. Are there any other comments? Dan, please call the roll then.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Committee reports. Chris, Community Services.
Community Services Bill will meet next Wednesday, the 21st at 9:30 at the Recreation Department at the Brookside School. One of the items that we're continuing in a very active phase now is submitting applications for painting some more traffic control boxes. But that's just one of the more decorative items in town, but many other items on the agenda, and the public is invited.
I'd like to add to that the next recycling events are going to be shredding and electronics on Saturday, October 15th from 9 to 12 at the Highway Department parking lot. And the pharmaceutical take-back will be Saturday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Right here at the Police Department side of the Town Hall. And we have flyers here in the building, and if anybody needs some information, they can call me, and my phone number is listed.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you, Chris. Finance and Administrative Services. Jason.
Yes, Finance and Administrative Services met last Tuesday, September 6th, and each of the items that we discussed during that meeting appear on tonight's agenda, as well as the item of bids that we discussed earlier. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 20th. We will meet at 3:30 in the afternoon, which we're back to our regular time, and we meet in the Stage Conference Room here at Town Hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you, Jason. Public Safety Committee. Louise.
Public Safety met this last Tuesday morning, and from the meeting, Brighton Ambulance stated they had 400 calls year to date, and their response time has been consistent. Brighton Fire has had 1,664 calls year to date. They will be having an open house on the 10th of October, and they will be at the Farmers Market next Sunday, September 25th. And there's continued discussions about marking of trails for location and response. If people get sick or are on a trail and they need help, we are discussing how they will be able to tell emergency people where exactly they are on the trail, and that's just beginning. We have Brighton Police. There are 2 vacancies in the police department, and interviews are being held now. And then Mark discussed crimes of opportunity. And do you want to speak to that?
Sure. We mentioned that, and for those watching at home, all of our activity we put out on a blotter. And we used to put this out once a week. We've actually gone to more of a daily or every other day format. And those that are looking at the blotter will note that we've had an increase in some thefts from vehicles, and the common denominator has been that the vehicles have been unlocked. So we're trying to get the message out. I talked to some media about that, and we came up with strategies on how best to do that. Talked to Judy earlier, and I'll try to get an information to the neighborhood associations. But what we're finding, had these vehicles been locked, valuables not stored in it, there would be no crime. So that's our project for the near future.
And then Captain Klein talked about the homecoming event, which is going to be this Friday from 4 to 7:30, I believe is the cutoff date. Monroe Avenue will be blocked off while we have the world's longest parade going from the parking lot of the church all the way around 12 Corners and to Monroe Avenue, and then to the school parking lot. Then Tim Keefe talked about the geothermal situation, and that there is a draft out that we are studying, and we are to give feedback to him. Do you want to say anything about that?
The draft, Louise, is for modifications to the town code relative to geothermal installations, and that's in response to a gas pocket that was hit in an installation last year, almost a year ago actually, and we're trying to come up with some criteria for the contractors and their drillers in case these events happen again, and that includes the emergency responders as well as town staff and the contractors themselves, how to manage the situation.
And I would just note, Tim, thanks for that explanation. I credit you. You know, one of the things you would hope to do is get feedback from people in the business, drillers, people who, you know, are engaged in these projects, which have, you know, if, you know, when properly done, are another alternative energy component. However, given just some of the natural features of this area, as you indicated, some of those gas pockets that are underground, in that case, they caused some real concern in that neighborhood, and we think it's important to know when that kind of a major project is being done, because there are some significant implications. So we're looking to not overly burden this very positive industry, but still make sure that they're taking the right precautions, make sure that the drillers have insurance, the expertise to do the job safely. And it's, you know, to that end, we were hoping to get their input to be able to make sure we weren't putting an undue burden. But I think it's something we have to go ahead with. We're going to be a trailblazer in that area. Other communities seem to have gone unregulated, but these involve drilling several hundred feet underground in some cases.
And that is true, Supervisor. And one of the things I would offer is that if there are any contractors out there that would like to offer some advice or input, we'd be glad to take it. And I think it was really more with the situation, the fear of the unknown last year, because I don't believe that there was any danger of any explosiveness with the gas that was hit in the gas pocket. But it was certainly prevalent, you know, from the, you know, if you use the old sniffer test, which most people did in the neighborhood, there was cause for concern because they thought there may have been a gas leak. And RG&E was very responsive, as was, you know, our fire department and, you know, our staff. So we managed the situation fairly well, but obviously we could do better.
Thanks, Tim.
The last matter that we talked about was the noise ordinance, and Chief Henderson discussed having an ordinance that could be enforced by responding officers, and we're working towards a decibel-based regulation. And there's more to come on that. And the next time and date of the next public safety meeting will be Tuesday, October 11th at 8 in the morning in the downstairs meeting room. Everybody is invited.
Thanks, Louise. Public Works, Jim.
Public Works met this past Tuesday, yesterday, at 9 o'clock, and the items that we covered at that time, during the open forum, we met with two constituents, two residents, and expressing concern that some of the recent tree trimming was being conducted by RG&E's contractor to clear the lines, so to speak, from branches. The work having to coincide also with the Monroe County Department of Transportation project replacing a guide rail along Buckland Creek. This is all on Elmwood Avenue. The concern they expressed was really the rather severe job that they had done in terms of trimming back branches around these power lines. So we've taken that under advisement after a rather lengthy discussion, and Mike Guyon, our town engineer, and Tim Keefe, our commissioner, are going to follow with RG&E on that to determine the status of this tree work going forward. Tim, any comments you want to make on that?
Jim, I've contacted contacted RG&E when we have issues with trees, and they have gotten back to me, and they are going to get out there to take a look at it and let me know what their thoughts are. So I shall keep everyone posted.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. And going forward, we also reviewed under old business the street lighting, again with RG&E. The committee discussed the ongoing neighborhood street lighting reliability problems that we seem to be encountering in many neighborhoods, and the concerns that were expressed, particularly that RG&E claims there are parts that are not available and they don't appear to be making any effort to address the situation. Our town engineer, Mike Guyon, is going to schedule a meeting with RG&E staff to discuss this matter further, as well as other topics. And Bill, I know as a supervisor, you were planning to attend. And here's a case where, I'll just add an editorial comment. RG&E is under the control of a foreign company, Arbidola, and they are located in Madrid, Spain. And this is a public utilities company, and why the state of ours ever approved the acquisition of a public utilities company in the United States by some foreign company, I think is beyond me. I think it's, I'll use my favorite term, it's rather dopey. And consequently, you have a distant, discursive, a choppy response to concerns expressed by the residents, as well as us as a local government, and it's very frustrating. So we're hopefully going to try to get a better handle on this, and we'll be reporting on this in the near future at another town council meeting. We're also going to be following up again at our next Public Works Committee meeting, which will be on Tuesday, October 4th at 9 o'clock. And these meetings, all these committee meetings, are open to the public. The last item we had was under new business regarding town streets. The committee reviewed current condition, especially in the neighborhoods around Willowcrest Drive, and which is tentatively scheduled for improvement efforts in next year and ongoing into 2018. The consensus of the committee was not to perform any unnecessary interim work at this point until that was warranted due to safety. In other words, safety would be paramount, but we do not see a safety issue at this time with regard to what we're planning to do in 2017. Tim, you want to make a comment on that point?
Only, Jim, that we did go out and take a look at it after we received some communications regarding the condition of the road, and that the it's in about the condition that we would expect the year before we're going to perform the project. So I think everyone was on board that we would not do anything out of the ordinary during the interim unless it was safety related, and of course, obviously, we would take care of that.
Yeah. And so our plan is to do a significant job on that in 2017 and 2018.
It will be a replacement of gutters. It'll be a 2-year project, Jim, as you noted, and it will involve milling the existing asphalt pavement, and then we would come back in and resurface with hot mix asphalt.
Will we be planning to communicate with the neighborhood with that regard?
We always, put a communication out ahead of time, letting them know of the project and the scope and the approximate schedule that we'll be on to do that.
And Jim, one of the neighborhood residents, I've heard from a couple people, but reached out to me, and I have indicated to him that I would be communicating as well now on the status from a budget perspective. We did include this project in the capital improvement plan for 2017 and 2018. I wish we could do the whole street next year. This is another one of those situations where budgetary constraints, particularly in the era of the tax cap, at least in our CIP, led us to conclude that it was a project that we would need to do over a 2-year period. But certainly from my perspective, it's a project we're committed to, and we know that the street is aging. It was the old slurry seal system that was done the last time that Willowcrest was improved, and that was an inferior system, and so that's caused a lot of the sort of scaling and not very attractive conditions that are out there now.
While we're on that subject of financial constraints and so on, I wanted to bring the attention to the public out there that, Bill, I want to compliment you on an article you had in the Brighton Pittsburgh Post about 3 weeks ago that I would encourage anyone if they can go back and take a look at that. You made a very clear argument for us in terms of how we've been managing our financial affairs under the limitations placed on us by the tax cap. The tax cap is conceptually is a good thing, But what we're dealing with right now is the constraints where you give us very little latitude in terms of responding to only the most crucial things that we have on our agenda. And what was the date of that article, Bill? I hate to,
Oh, Jim, I wish
don't mean to put you, but
I
it's-
don't remember.
It was about 3 weeks ago.
But it was in August.
In August, but it was a very clear explanation that any layman could understand as to the impacts, the intent, which is good, but the impacts if in fact there's very little latitude or flexibility given to responsible governments to manage their affairs, recognizing the need for the residents in terms of highway, sewer, anything. And like you said, we put this on the capital improvement plan for next year and 2018, which is one of the few ways we're able to address this thing in a forward-thinking fashion. But the residents really need to understand that we're not holding back. If we had our way, we probably would have done it this year. But there is very little flexibility on this.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Jim.
Yeah,
I
really,
appreciate it.
that was a very clear explanation. I would encourage anyone, if you can go back and pick that up. I imagine they have a website.
It's online, yeah.
Could you not go back and retrieve that?
Yep.
I think it was about August 15th, thereabouts. But it was a darn good explanation. It really was. So, with that, I'll stop. Our next meeting, as I said, is Tuesday, October 4th, at 9 a.m. in the morning in the lower level community meeting room.
And as you also said, the public is welcome
Always
and
invited.
encouraged.
You
Yep.
bet. Very helpful. Just like we had that open forum yesterday. Some of the residents came in
And I appreciate you both, by the way, Louise and Jim, getting those minutes and a report to us tonight on meetings that were just held yesterday. Thank you.
yes, right.
Next, new business, reading and approval of claims. Jason?
Yes, Bill, earlier this evening, I reviewed claims totaling $605,995.58. Notable claims include to Armstrong Fabricators in the amount of $24,400 for pedestrian handrails incorporated in the Monroe Avenue GIGP project, which is funded by the grants that the town received a couple of years ago. Also to Old Dominion Brush Company in the amount of $43,551 for the leaf vacuum. And I know technically there's 1 week of summer that's left, but another claim was to American Rock Salt Company in the amount of $40,287.29, representing 829.81 tons of bulk ice control salt. So we're starting to stockpile for the upcoming winter season. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
Tim, was that a purchase to get under the September 1st anticipated price increase?
That is correct, Bill.
Yep. That's good. Well, we do. We have certain quantities that we can purchase, and it often behooves us. September 1st is when the price increases take effect, and it makes sense to top off, if you will, before that time. So good planning. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Next item, Jim.
Well, actually, Bill, may I take this
Oh,
motion?
absolutely.
As a matter of Sustainability Committee, as
You're right. That
liaison.
makes more sense.
It's my pleasure to move that we reappoint Paul Tankel as a member of the Sustainability Oversight Committee effective immediately through August 30, 2018. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town before us.
Second.
Bill, Paul's a very long-standing member of the committee. He's extremely well-educated in the area of environmental concerns and sustainability issues. He's got a rooftop solar energy installation as well, and he's very outspoken. He's been a real asset to the community, and I therefore have moved his appointment.
Great, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further comment on Paul's reappointment? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Thanks, Jim.
Paul, thank you for your work. I vote aye. Next matter, Louise.
The next matter is for approval for town court to apply for a Justice Court Assistance Program grant in an amount of up to $30,000 to support the purchase of various court equipment. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This again was discussed in Finance Committee. Any further comments? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item is to seek approval to accept donations from various corporate and community sponsors totaling some $5,400 in support of the July 4th celebration this past July 4th, 2016. I move that we adopt the resolution prepared by the attorney for the town before us.
Second.
And do you have the list there in front of you? We certainly want to acknowledge all those very generous donors.
Absolutely. Wegmans, $2,000. ESL Federal Credit Union, $1,000.
I
Harvard
don't know that you have
Nussbaum,
to-
More Corporate Real Estate, Cornerstone Kitchens, Paris Kerwin Associates, Canandaigua National Bank, and Seeger and Shortino Law Firm. They're all very generous, and we very much appreciate their continued support and regular support of this event.
They make a great day even more grand for the community with that
They sure do.
celebration. We have a motion and a second to accept those donations. Further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Jim?
Approval to declare particular highway equipment as surplus and authorize the disposal of the same through municipal auction program. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Those of you that were at the Finance Committee may recall I had some questions about one of these items that Tim responded to, and advised me that that particular piece of equipment had in fact been significantly damaged, and it was for that reason that it was needed to be replaced. So that was a good summary of explanation, and I appreciated it. Thanks.
Good.
Any further comments? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to approve a renewal agreement with Waste Management of New York to provide refuse and recycling services to the town districts. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
This is our annual contract with Waste Management for refuse districts, and the price increase for 2017 is truly negligible, less than 1%, and far cheaper again than what people pay if they're contracting directly as individuals with Waste Management. It's a case where our involvement through the refuse districts that we've worked with the neighborhoods to set up throughout town is saving every property owner, every homeowner in those districts, an average of close to $150 a year. That's good government. And Tim, I appreciate your continued involvement and the work you've done in continuing to manage those districts.
Why are we not pursuing a townwide district?
Well, it continues to be something we've discussed over the years. Part of the reason was a concern that a townwide district, frankly, only one vendor is probably big enough to want to bid on. And what we didn't want to do is sort of lose some of our leverage by potentially restricting the number of bidders. Now, the reality has been that Waste Management has won the contract for quite a number of years. But, whether it's affected the price or not, I don't know, but they have continued to be very competitive, presumably because they know there's a possibility that for some or all of those districts, there could well be other vendors. Some neighborhoods have looked at it and chosen not to do it. That's their decision. But we do encourage neighborhoods to come, work with us and set up refuse districts. At this point, it's too late to do it for 2017, but you've got plenty of time to get together. We'll get you a petition and get signatures from your neighborhood and do it for 2018. But more and more the neighborhoods in town are covered, but there are still, some pretty significant areas that I think are overpaying for trash hauling.
They need to set it up by April of the next year.
Well, there's a little more time than that, but April's a pretty good,
Good target.
target, yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of the tax cap, that's just the sort of problem we see in the tax cap, because Bill, you're absolutely right that that's good government, that we can provide a service to the community at a lower cost, because as I've repeatedly said, this is all about group buy. But if we provide those additional services, and if we did anything as grand as a town-wide refuse district, we wouldn't be able to provide our current services any longer because of that tax cap. That would be additional spending by this government, which is restricted by that tax cap, even though we provide additional services. So as much as we encourage the individual neighborhoods to set up their districts, and it makes all the sense in the world, every time a new district is approved with a new service provided by the town, we have to cut someplace else. So it's not a function of simply that current services cost more
At
every
least
year.
potentially, we have to look at
Potentially
that.
would have to, but might have to, but it's not so much that we're trying to spend more on current town services, and it costs are increasing, but we would like to provide greater service to the community, greater capital investment in the community, perhaps a new community center and so forth. All of these things cost more money, add to the tax levy, but we are restricted by that tax cap.
Yeah, and that's, as I've said in the past, I've testified in the past on the tax cap to the state legislature through the Association of Towns, and will continue to advocate for modifications to the tax cap that continue the fiscal discipline that the tax cap provides.
Which is a good idea.
Which is a good idea, without strangling positive expenditures like, as you said, capital expenditures that can be so important to maintaining quality of life. School districts don't count capital expenditures against the tax cap. It certainly seems not to make sense that school districts and municipalities are treated differently. Special districts, even special districts where we save taxpayers money, like the refuse district, special districts where neighborhoods come to us with notarized petitions saying, please provide this service, all are counted against the tax cap. So great concept. I hope we can make it work
With just a
more
few tweaks.
effectively for everybody, for local government and for our taxpayers.
In the paper, there was saying that next year is the last year that they're gonna have rebates to people.
Well, the program
So what's the incentive?
remains to be seen.
And what about?
We still, to override the tax cap, a municipality can override the tax cap. They have to pass a special local law doing so, following, a debate and a public hearing. But,
And to
you know,
some of us who have not gotten our rebate yet,
yeah, I know.
gonna get a double, and it's gonna come all at once next year? I haven't gotten it yet.
Good questions. So I think we have not yet taken a vote on the waste management matter. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jason.
Yes, Bill, the next matter seeks approval to award bid to Pipitone Enterprises LLC to provide rooftop HVAC replacement to the Brighton Memorial Library with authorization for supervisor to execute associated agreements and change orders not exceeding $3,500 collectively. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And I would note that this is also a matter that the library board will be considering based on the expenditure from fund balance of the library. Any further discussion on this matter? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to seek approval to accept a donation of $5,000 from the Brighton Rotary Club and $2,000 from the Genesee Region Clean Communities, INC, to be used for the purchase and installation of an electronic vehicle charging station, which is standing right out front of Town Hall right now. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
It is out there, and I'm happy to say that on September 22nd, a week from tomorrow, Thursday, September 22nd, at 11 a.m., will be the grand opening of the new charging station out in front of the library. Again, our thanks to the Brighton Rotary Club and to Genesee Region Clean Communities, Inc. that provided us the grant funding. And the public is invited. We welcome you to bring your Volt or your Leaf or whatever other plug-in model you might have. Come plug in your car, and while your car is charging, take a look at the new renovations in our library. Spend a little time in the library, and it's a win-win.
So how long does the car have to stay there to get a
It depends
reasonable
on
charge?
It depends on how discharged the battery is. It's a level 2 charging station, which is the typical public charging station. The city's charging stations that you see in their parking garages are 2s. Full charging from 0 can be as long as 4 hours. But most people, of course, don't let their battery run all the way down. This is an opportunity, so you're around town driving your vehicle, and you can, maybe you're going to the library anyway, maybe you're not, but it's an opportunity to, so you don't worry as to whether you've lost the charge. Infrastructure is one of the key barriers in people's minds to buying an electric car.
So if they come in and they're low on their charge and charge for half an hour while they go in the library and come pay their town taxes?
Well, I think, it's a good question, and
Not give them anything significant?
I think the general, with most chargeable batteries, the advice is charge it up all the way. I don't know whether that's the case for
Maybe I'll
vehicle
ask
batteries.
Paul Tankel at the
There you go.
sustainability.
Good man.
Yeah, the stations typically around the area have you want to be courteous to other EV drivers and not leave it so the ask is not that your people aren't parking it there overnight.
Absolutely.
It is while you're at the library.
Yep.
So while you're not using these stations to recharge to full, you're doing that at home.
Yeah.
But this is the hour while you're reading at the library or the few minutes you're paying taxes, that sort of thing. That's the design for these.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
We have a
really-
motion and a second on that. Further comment? Please call the roll, Nan.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the transfer of $4,000 within the 2016 Information Systems budget to support the purchase of a replacement server hardware and software. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Discussion? Again, this was discussed at Finance. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to set September 28th, 2016 as a public hearing date regarding Frontier Communications cable television services. I move that we adopt the resolution prepared by the attorney for the town before us.
Recently, we heard, and other communities as well in the Rochester area, heard from Frontier about their plans to provide cable TV service in the Rochester area. This public hearing will be to consider their proposal. Obviously, cable TV service does involve the laying of infrastructure in and near right-of-way. And it also involves franchise fees payable to the town. People have long been concerned about the monopoly of one cable TV company. Of course, there are, newer technologies that provide other ways of watching television, whether antenna-based or, internet-based. But, this proposal is being considered, and the process is required to have this public hearing.
So next meeting, we can hear from them.
Correct.
I second the motion.
Discussion. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And finally, Jason.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the new 2018 Role Assessment Update Project Capital Budget and authorize the Finance Director to record all necessary accounting entries in same. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Again, this is something that we have been discussing in our capital improvement plan. We are anticipating beginning a town-wide property reassessment. It's a 2-year project, 2017 and 2018, and it's a project that's being pursued in the interest of maintaining fairness. We want to make sure that people's properties are assessed to reflect their fair market value. And we have a series of ratios that we look at to determine whether that is, how close our properties are. We want to keep that as close as possible. And based on where those numbers are, and frankly, based on the fact that real property in Brighton has appreciated at a faster rate than in other communities, this revaluation is important to maintain equity for all taxpayers. And this resolution sets up what's known as a capital project. It's really an accounting function, but it provides a vehicle for making sure that all costs and revenues related to that project are accurately reflected. Suzanne, anything else to add to that? Good, okay. We have a motion and a second. Anything further? If not, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, we do have Suzanne's expense and revenue report for the month ended August 31st. At the end of September, sometime in October, we will hear Suzanne give the third quarter report. But for now, if I could have a motion to receive and file this report.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Also, a couple of other matters of the supervisor. Somebody mentioned homecoming. Again, just a reminder, this coming Friday night, homecoming starts at 4 p.m. and that will involve shutting down the streets in the 12 corners. So if you're coming home from work or going out around town Friday night, please try to avoid, if you can, driving through the 12 corners. Parts of the streets will be closed or limited to one lane. The police department will be out helping make sure traffic gets through as smoothly as possible. But as always, homecoming is a lot of fun. As you mentioned, Louise, it's not a real long parade, but it's a real fun parade. And of course, it's there to support our undefeated, at this point, Brighton High School football team.
How about that?
2-0 so far. They are playing,
Terrific.
I can't remember if they're playing Greece Athena or Greece Arcadia.
It's Arcadia.
Arcadia.
Arcadia, my alma mater.
Oh, really?
So the fun starts at 4. The parade is at 6:15. The Chamber of Commerce has a tent highlighting a number of local businesses. And one of Brighton's newest, maybe Brighton's newest business, Joe's Brooklyn Pizza, will be on hand, as well as food truck and several food vendors. So some good fun, some music, some food, a parade, and a football game. Sounds like a great night.
And the weather's supposed to be good.
Hope so. Yes, it is. Speaking of other fun events coming up, this isn't until next month, but every year the Recreation Department hosts the Fall Family Festival late in October. It's an opportunity to go trick-or-treating in a safe environment, and that will be here in Town Hall. Not only will have the trick-or-treating on, it's affectionately known, Safety Street, but some other fun activities for kids that day here around the campus in the library. That's going to start at 10 a.m. on October 22nd. So mark that in the calendars now, 10 a.m., October 22nd, and I always
Return
participate
appearance
in
with,
that, or my alter ego, Farmer Bill, passing out candy, and it's a great time for families of all ages. I saw an article, I read it online. I actually didn't get a chance to read the print edition this morning, so I don't know if it was there, but it was an article about things that neighborhoods can do, and of course individuals in neighborhoods can do to promote good health in their neighborhood. And a couple of the things I think are particularly relevant to neighborhoods here in Brighton, and in some cases they're things that I know people are already doing, but let me just touch on a few of them. First, you can form a neighborhood bike or run or walking group. As we all know, maintaining those exercise programs can be hard when you're doing it by yourself, but if you're doing it as a neighborhood, makes it a little easier. Peer pressure is a beautiful thing. On a similar note, walk or ride your bike on your errands. The 12 Corners is very close. When I go to the 12 Corners, as I did today, to pick up some lunch, I walk. If you go down to some of our businesses on Monroe Avenue, it's very easy to ride your bike, even if it's a little farther than you want to walk. We have our bicycle boulevard that helps get around some parts of town. Obviously, it's good health. It keeps traffic conditions better, but this article was focused on healthiness, and I think that's a great goal. To make that more possible, they encourage residents, and I encourage residents, if you see something unsafe, if you see a pothole, if you see a place where the sidewalk is cracked, defective, give a call to our Department of Public Works and report that. We don't necessarily know about these things until someone reports them. So when you're out there walking or riding, doing your errands, and you see something, just like we say about police matters, say something. Let us know. We may not be able to fix it that day. Sometimes it's something that is a capital item that we have to get in, for example, a sidewalk problem into next year's plan, but that's something we'll certainly try to do. And finally, please slow down traffic. When I walk along Elmwood, I see our solar meters out here, and I see 45s, 48s, 52s. Elmwood Avenue is 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. Monroe Avenue is a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. Winton Road is a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. I think Elmwood may be our biggest problem. But not only do I see those signs, I see those cars with the flashing lights. And our police department does pull you over and will pull you over. And traffic speed is a real important part of the police services we do. And I want to segue into something else, because I did walk down to the 12 Corners today for lunch. Ran into another Brighton business owner, Van Travis, owns an insurance agency on Monroe Avenue, and he had walked to the same sandwich shop for lunch. And he asked me how I was doing. I said, great, but I was almost hit by a car while I was coming here. And Van said, so was I. So let me relate what happened to my good friend Van Travis and then what happened to me. Van was crossing one of the streets of the 12 Corners, and a car made a left turn in front of him. For pedestrians, if you are driving and there's a pedestrian in the crosswalk, they have the right of way. Even if the light is green, even if there's no traffic coming, you cannot make a left turn in front of that pedestrian. Wait until the pedestrian clears the crosswalk. You'll have plenty of time to make that left turn. If it holds up traffic, it holds up traffic. Pedestrians in crosswalks have the right of way. Now, pedestrians, that puts a responsibility on you. When you cross the street, don't jaywalk. Cross in a crosswalk. Even on our major streets, there are crosswalks. Please wait until you get to one. Cross the street there. You will have the right of way. Don't assume the traffic's going to stop. As Van saw today, it won't necessarily, but you have the right of way. That's what our crossing guards in the 12 corners are looking at when they're helping cross our students safely. It might not have been Brighton businessman Van Travis. Next time it might be your 12-year-old son or granddaughter. Now in my case, I was walking from here down to the 12 corners in the crosswalk, crossing one of the streets with a light. The car had stopped. Great. So I continued on my way. I had the green light. And without warning, the car began to make a right turn. A right turn on red. But the driver didn't look right. Didn't look to see if there was a pedestrian coming on his right side. When you make that right turn on red, you cannot just look left to see oncoming traffic. You must look right. I had to bang on his hood. He was about to hit me. And he rolled down his window. He heard me banging on his hood. He said, "I'm sorry, we all make mistakes." And that's true. But when you're driving a car, that mistake you make because you're distracted or because you didn't look in all directions could cost a pedestrian their life. Could cost you your life if you haven't looked to see whether, traffic is really stopped. So please, safety, particularly for our pedestrians and for our cyclists, is a priority. As you've seen, we have trails, new projects, trying to make Brighton a healthy, sustainable, walking, cycling community. Drivers, please cooperate with that. Please drive safely. My column, thank you, Jim, for your kind words about 2 columns ago, but my most recent column in the Brighton Pittsford Post was about back to school, traffic safety. Please don't speed. Please look both ways. Observe school buses, those flashing red lights, however many lanes you've got, it means you stop. All of those things are vitally important for our kids and for all of us as we move around town. So that's my soapbox. I'm sorry, but yeah, I really think it's important. That's all I have tonight, I believe. Yes. Matters of the attorney to the town. Ken?
Nothing, thank you.
Matters of the town clerk. Dan?
Thank you, Supervisor. Obviously, yesterday being the primary here in town, I just want to once again thank our 80-odd inspectors who spent a long day at one of our 16 polling sites across town. Obviously, the elections can't happen without all of you, and thank you. I try to get around everywhere and thank you in person every election, at least once or twice, but for sure, if you've know an inspector, thank them. Or if you would like to be an inspector, give me a call and we'll get you to the right place. The school taxes are in full bore right now. Tomorrow is the due date for the first installment. We'll open 9 to 6 to take your payments. We've got the reserved parking spots out front of the court to try and make your transit in and out of here as smooth and easy as possible. But something came up Monday, actually. I got an email. The food cupboard had sent out an email that they were low on some particular items. And every once in a while, you have that moment, just like the kind of like light bulb goes off, and for some reason, the 2 and 2 that was very obvious I'd never added up. So I'd actually been corresponding with a woman from JFS and looking at if you come to pay your taxes, bring a can of food. We've got the collection barrel out in the lobby here at Town Hall, and it kind of came up late, so I haven't really been able to get too much communication out on this yet. But when you come in, stop in to pay your taxes, bring a couple of cans or whatever. If you've got something, if you're able to leave it in there, because they are really working hard to. There is hunger in our community, and food insecurity as well, if not full-on hunger. I know it's always not always taxes go to a good cause. I mean, they help. They're educating our kids. It's always a chance to to help out a little bit more. So we've got the barrel there in the lobby, and we're gonna see if we can fill it here by the end of the month, the fulls.
Thanks, Dan. Members of the town board.
And Dan, I note your parking signs. That means people bringing in that food don't have to walk too far with it. So
Absolutely.
It's not exactly a load. Along the lines of what Bill said with the traffic, I just realized today this is the season again of that sun coming straight down Elmwood Avenue late in the day. And as I came just up to Town Hall here about 6:45, and I happened to see the sun out in the distance and came up a little further and was absolutely blinded by it. I had to come to a complete stop on Elmwood Avenue because I didn't dare go forward. I couldn't see a thing. So anticipate that, put that visor down, put the sunglasses on, but you're going to need them in the fall here.
Great advice. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, that happened to me too. Turned right onto Elmwood, and I couldn't see a thing.
Yeah. Be careful. Yeah.
Anything further?
Yes. We all got one of these at home just very recently. It's a fall program schedule from Brighton Rec. But inside the front cover is a very nice summary, again by Bill, our supervisor, on a lot of the activities that are currently going on, have occurred this year, but also a reminder for this fall, especially with the leaf pickup. And also a point to be made in there, we have the new, what I call the super sucker, the vacuum, the vacuum, what is it called? EcoVac?
Vector.
Vector, okay. That should help to move along the pickup, the lawn debris, the leaf pickup, I should say, so that we are able to maybe stay on even a better schedule than we have in the past. In the past few years, we've gotten it dumped on us all of a sudden, and it was difficult to get through this. But a lot of good information in there, and I would encourage anybody who can to containerize some of these leaves as they come in, or they come down, I should say. It sure makes it much easier and helps the highway department to expedite the pickup.
And lawn debris,
Lawn debris,
until
same
the
thing, you bet.
leaves come down. If you have small bundles, I always say if you have to ask, is it a small enough bundle? Put it in a container. It probably is.
But anyway, Brighton Rec does
It'll
a very
get
nice
picked up
job.
quicker, and it'll keep your neighborhood cleaner.
They do a very nice job of
Also,
information
Paige,
in here.
To read through that, you may think that you know about all the programs that they provide, but they always have new programs.
They have some
Yes, they
great,
do.
And
great
this one,
programs.
I'm going to take the coloring program.
Oh, you are?
I have an adult coloring book, and I got the 24 pencils, and I'm going to take it this time because they're going to teach you how to enhance your coloring. So
Okay. Cool.
it's fun, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it really takes you into another world when you're coloring.
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any chance for a ride-along on that Vector, too?
Chris, for the appropriate donation to the highway department, and we can get you a ringside seat, but depending on your
Is that ringside or
donation,
rake side? We might
may-
put a rake in your hand.
you could be at the intake end or the discharge end. Your choice.
And of course, the commissioner was kidding about the contribution.
No, the contribution will be out front of along the front line of my property.
Thank you, everybody. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember Devanzier?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. I don't anticipate coming back out after the executive session, so thank you, everybody, for being here. The next scheduled town board meeting is September 28th at 7 p.m., although I will let all of you know informally, I'm hoping we will be scheduling a special board meeting to authorize a contract that bids are coming in on tomorrow, and we want to get going on that. It's actually the replacement lawn mowing contract for the town hall campus. You may have seen it's a little shaggier than we've liked now that it's begun to rain again. Without getting into what happened with the first contract this year, we do hope to have a new vendor on board very shortly. Our own crews have been mowing town hall, but frankly, they've got a lot of work to do too with grass growing again. So we want to get that up and going, and and frankly, someone commented on some of the flower beds. It is a lot of work to keep town hall looking good, and being able to get that contracted work out will help us do that.
I was at
so.
the Rose Garden on about 3 or 4 days ago for an hour and a half, picking all the weeds out of the gravel. I got 3/4 of it done. But
Good for you. Great, thank you. So we do have a motion to go into executive session, and it's been approved. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you again on the 28th. Have a nice night.
Anson, they don't know.